my parents are both from Edo State. They're both from the Ishan tribe, which is a very small tribe. There are over 180 different tribes in Nigeria at least. And yet they didn't meet in Nigeria, they met in Brooklyn. And so when you find out, like, what is the value of New York? New York is the melting pot of the world. Yes. And I think that to do what I was trying to do, I needed to be in a place that gave me the opportunities and the access and the resources that you can only get, I think, when you think about compared to Nigeria in a place like New York. But I never forgot where my home was. I never forgot where I came from. Mm-hmm. And so it put me in this, I think, amazing position where I had the motivation, I had the experiences, I had the exposure, but I also had the resources to make a difference. And I think at the end of the day, what is entrepreneurship if it's not problem solving without regard for resource, right? And I think that to that extent, I was exposed to certain things, certain problems. I had those in a very specific way. And what New York gave me was just enough resource. I definitely think that innovation lives between a rock and a hard place, right? And so what do I mean by that? Sometimes you need pressure for magic to come out. And when things are too easy, you're not really going to be innovative. You're just going to do things the easy, kind of way. You're going to spend more money. You're going to throw more people on it. You're going to throw more resources at it. And so that's not innovation. That's where some of the things that people would view as obstacles, when you're a woman of color launching a business, launching a technology company, launching an infrastructure technology company, there have been obstacles, but some of those obstacles have resulted in what I believe have become Uncharted Power's competitive advantage, because we had that balance, right? We had just enough resource. We did have capital, we did have people, but we didn't have so much capital and so many people that we weren't forced to kind of find the more innovative ways to do things. And what it's allowed us to do is have more efficiency in the way we spend our dollar, in the way that we think of new solutions, in the way that we just think about running our company. When I first created, one of our earlier products was an energy generating jump rope. It was called the Pulse. I actually showed it on stage. And when we first created that product, I wasn't that good at jumping rope. Now I can jump for 30 minutes at this point, straight if I had to. And so I didn't have a flow. I would jump and bend my legs. I didn't have a flow. And boxers have a great flow with boxing. And I grew up playing sports and then running track. And I was looking for a sport that would be good for me as an adult. I find that I'm a better leader in the morning. When I don't box and I come into the office, everyone's bothering me. When I box, everything's fine. But I think what I like about boxing the most is that if you're looking for metaphors in the way that you're operating as a leader, boxing is something where you can't just focus on what you're doing. You have to be very aware, exactly, of the fact that for every action, there's a reaction. So you can't, if you sit there and you throw a punch and you admire it, that's nonsensical. No one is just sitting there saying, yes, please punch me. Oh, thank you for that great punch. They're either dodging that punch, and not only that, they're most likely dodging it and then actively looking at how they can punch you. And I think that kind of meditating on that a few mornings every week allows me to go in and think about what we need to do with a bit more grace and calm.
Invention is not the same?
Oh, I think that's such a good point. I mean, yes, you have to. I think the hardest part about taking a hit, and I only get hit a little bit because my key person insurance does not allow me to fully box in this way. But even when I'm just sparring with my trainer, when she kind of taps me, the biggest issue is the shock. It's not even that it hurts. It's more just did I just get hit? Yeah. And then you're assessing what's happening, what's going on, and who has time for that, right? So part of it is just knowing sometimes you're going to get hit, and you have to keep moving, and you can't let it shake you. Invention, entrepreneurship, yes. Sometimes you're going to fall. It's a fight to kind of remain a going concern. It's a fight to never get comfortable, even if you think you're winning a fight. That's just the thing. Even if you think you're winning a fight. A race, perhaps, you can be so far ahead and truly look and say, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to catch up to me. In a fight, you could be winning that entire match, that entire round, yes. And then at the end, knockout. I do believe that we as people have a great energy and a great light that I think both literally and figuratively, we need to think about using with more intention. That's why when we first created our platform for hardware and software solutions, we called it MORE. And MORE it stood for Motion-Based Off-Grid Renewable Energy. It was an acronym. But ultimately, the concept was, how do you get more out of life? How do we create a technology that allows you to amplify existing behavior and just get more out of everything around you and out of yourself? We, as human beings, this is energy. We're consuming calories, we're consuming, energy, and then we're living. And as we live our lives, that is the distribution, of energy. And to the extent that we can have things in our world that capture that give us more out of that, I think it not only increases the value of the things in our environment, but it makes us feel like we have a bigger role to play, right? That we have not only agency, but that we can make an impact. And I think for a lot of people, over time, just because of the way sometimes society works out, people feel like they don't have that chance. They can't make that impact. They can't really do anything that's going to change anything. They believe that you can live your life passively and still be alive. And that's.
And you think that's possible?
Well, no, right? Like I think that's why I love the concept of kinetic energy, where and when it makes sense, because it's like the more you move, the more power you get. Great, right? So, and like the assumption should be that the more alive you are, the more you're moving, the more power you get for that life that you're living. And so that creates a positive cyclical feedback loop that's missing with all the other types of renewable energy. I could do nothing and still get sun. I could do nothing, there's still wind. Kinetic energy, when it comes to kind of the way that we move as individuals and as a society, that's the power that comes from us. And like that's the most gratifying type of power. I know that I would not be where I am today. I would not have been able to create the socket if I was not Nigerian and if I was not exposed to what it meant to lose power several times a day. I knew people who played soccer almost semi-professionally, who were rocket scientists, who did not come up with the socket. Why? Because they did not have the exposure to the simple nuances of the problem. They were like, oh, well, this soccer ball can't power a room, so what's the point? And I'm like, so that you don't get it. You don't understand the value of just this light. We're trying to replace a kerosene lamp. And those nuances, those details, you only get from exposure. You only get from things that are seen, not even said. And so to the extent that I realized that worked for me, I wanted to create that environment for my entire team so we can do more and build more. And so doing things like moving the company to Harlem and putting them in places where we can have a microcosm of the world, making sure that members of the team travel and engage, and making sure that we have people on the team who come from these places and that they're speaking with confidence at the table as well. That's just been incredibly important.
Communication is a big thing for you. I'm seeing body language, everything.
Well,
how do you communicate, first of all, in your inner circle, and then look into the rest of the world?
I try to, at least right now, there's really almost no difference. And everything that I do, I try to bring my most authentic, full self, because the external tax on the mind when you're trying to code switch or hide any part of yourself, that's an intellectual capacity that could be going towards innovation that's actually now going towards that. And so what I'm doing right now is because Nigerians speak like this, but also Italians. My father went to undergrad in Italy. My dad is like a mix of Tony Soprano meets Samuel L. Jackson meets the father from Coming to America. And so this is how he talks, and then this is how I talk. And this is who I am. Right? And I think that communication, the key thing is to be as earnest as you can. Because words, yes, will tell you something, but so will not even just hand gestures, but I think energy. I think energy speaks it well. And what I try to do is make sure that people understand that I believe in this, that I am passionate about this, that I will not give up. And I think they can feel that there's something different here. And that, I think, is what brings people then to the space, to the team, to the broader community that supports what we're doing. And that's what gets them excited to start to kind of tie their own personal narrative to what we have going on.
That you notice or is new for you, that when you talk about what you're doing as a professional, your company, you talk about us. And when you talk about your family, your gestures, your boxing, it's about you. You have really that difference between being a team member and a leader. When you step down and when you take that role and it's the things has to be done, as Jessica said.
Well, you know, I think that at the end of the day, leadership is definitely a very isolating, lonely experience. And especially when you're doing something that is visionary, is very new, you can't hope that many people will say, of course, I thought about it the same way, because then it isn't visionary. You actually have to kind of walk down a path knowing most people are going to say, wait, what is, oh, that's new, that's different. They have to kind of trust in you as a person, even if they don't necessarily understand the way things need to go. And so I think to that extent, I recognize that no matter how large of a team I build, I'm the face of this company, I'm the CEO of this company. For all the glamour that might come with it, for anything horrible that comes to, it's all going to fall on me. And I have to just take that responsibility the way it is. That said, there's ways to think about efficiently bringing those final decisions to me in a way that I can scale my operations. And so when I think about us and as an organization, as a team, that's the reason why I felt it was so important to have such a diverse team, to have such a diverse, experienced, and educated team. Because we are the makeup of the world. I am not the makeup of the world. We are the makeup of the world. I have to be the leader. I have to be the one that gets shot first, or the person who gets the first hug. But the foundation of that is a group of people that represent the world. And so when I walk into a room, I'm representing my team, I'm representing the world, and that gives me the strength, I think, to be the leader I need to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. But what I'm seeing with you is you don't even see like the world, you see beyond that. What's the horizon for you? What's the end of it? Where the energy comes and goes?
I mean, years ago, I just wanted to pass a class. Like the soccer ball came out of a class project, and I just wanted to pass this class because I had way too much fun freshman year, and I had to get A's after that. It was just so I was just rocking out these A's, and I took this class called Idea Translation, Affecting Change Through Art and Science, and that's what put me in a position to start to look at the world, look at what I had experienced in Nigeria, and create this invention. Then it was I guess I have to build a business because this idea seems to be meaningful, but someone told me, I think at a conference, you have to be a business for people to do business with you. And so that's what led to me saying, okay, well, let me try to do this. And from the beginning, I always believed that LUCK is an acronym. It stands for Laboring Under Correct Knowledge. And I felt very lucky to have come up with this idea and to have something that spoke to people, and it seemed pure and exciting. It seemed to be this thing that could get an adult to believe in the tooth fairy again, kind of thing. And what is life other than what is science if not to make magic real? I'm just going along for the ride. And the ride has taken me from a soccer ball to an infrastructure company, and I'm 31 years old. It hasn't been a bad ride.
You killed my other question, because you made your first invention at 19. You built your first company at 22.
Yeah.
I was about to say that was 3 years ago, but now the question doesn't
No,
make any
31.
sense.
I've been doing it for a while. Yeah, I've been. You're not going to meet many millennials that can say they've been doing the same thing for over a decade, but I've been doing it for a while. I've let the company grow, and I've let myself grow. And so the question really is just what's next in terms of growth and what needs to be done. For me, as soon as we're in a world where we've addressed a massive problem, that's really shortening and curtailing the lives of billions of people when we think about infrastructure, and when we've not only addressed it, but we've addressed it in a way where what we've all imagined it looks like to do, then who should be doing it, that's changed as well, then I'm going to feel very much satisfied. We need a world where there is no question in any of our minds and or in our subconscious that a woman or a person of color or someone from a poor socioeconomic background. Just there are so many people who don't fit the paradigm that I think if we can bring them in, we're going to have a better world, because we're going to have more people who believe that they can solve this problem. And that means there are going to be more people who are going to try to solve these big problems. And then if it's just a law of large numbers, then we're probably going to get more solutions. And that's better for everyone. Everyone on the planet will be in a better place when that happens.